So last week, we left you as we finally got the old girl up on the hard. This very noisy and at times very busy shipyard is now home to the Falcon for the foreseeable future. There are certainly areas of this boat that I had a lot of anxiety about when I bought her, and one in particular was the hull. I was unable to have the boat lifted before I bought her, so I had no idea of just how good or bad her underbelly was going to be. While this may look really awful to those of you who haven't been through this process, it's actually not looking too bad, and at first glance I was really relieved to see the condition of the hull, which showed no signs of osmosis or bubbling of the fiberglass. Okay, things are progressing. Well, actually it's an absolute mess, but as you can see, we boys are working to clear these decks. Looks a lot different up here, obviously without the bimini on, but slowly but surely, now the booms are off, which are heavy, ridiculous heavy. All the sails are off. You okay? Yeah? Adi. Adi, he's the man. Razak, he's our wasp magnet. They all go to Razak. When we get some wasps, they sting him. It's been about a day's work. By the end of the day, we'll have everything cleaned up and off. And once this dredger in the background gets taken in, then what's going to happen is where that boat is right now, Swan Song Blue is going to be moved out of there. We'll go into that spot, and then Swan Song will sit in the middle because it's waiting to be splashed in about 2 months' time. This cable system they use, which I'll show a little bit more of, is, well, it's as simple as it gets, but it's as dangerous as it gets, and I think that's what I like about this sort of place. You wouldn't be able to get away with this sort of stuff anywhere else, but it means that everybody's a little bit more aware and accountability for one's actions. So yeah, they're hard-working boys down there. They just work all day. So she's a big old beast. I don't know if you can see on this angle, but underneath the vessel is a big sled, and so you can see another one sat over here that hasn't got a boat on it, but that's what it is. It runs on rails. Big sled. They jack it up, balance it back down, and then pull it in from there. And underneath you got the grease man is greasing up the tracks at the moment. He undoubtedly has one of the most dangerous jobs here. One slip and that's a really bad Wednesday. The old girl. Sitting up. The boys are going to do some painting today, so they cover everything with nets, and then they wash it all down with water. The water attracts the dust, and it's a pretty simple way of getting a dust-free paint job. But it has to be perfectly still, which it is. There's no wind. You can see that's how they work. So it was right around this time that Yuha turned up to see how the boys were getting on. Yuha owns his part of the yard, which is separate to the main yard, and he and his team generally work on foreigner sailing boats, while the rest of the yard works on local fishing and navy boats. The work continued on clearing the decks for the rest of the week, and then it was time to move the Falcon into her final position. But first the yard had to pull Swansong Blue out of the way, which took up the first half of the day. Unfortunately, at this point, it was just a lot of sitting around and waiting for the Falcon to start rolling. It took several hours to go from one place to another, and true to form, just when the boat actually started moving into position, the GoPro decided that it had had enough of life, and it well and truly stopped working from that point on.
So it's a Sunday. Quiet here at the yard, although some of the boys, the yard workers, still work on a Sunday. So this is where we were for most of the week, just near that water tank. And we can come down here. You see, these are the yard workers that move the boats around and re-level them. And this is where we now are. It hasn't been a bad week. Getting quite a bit of stuff done, obviously, in preparation for next week. Go around the back. Bit of a challenge to get up the boat. We don't have a ladder here at the moment. What you can see is cradle here is just jacked up on the blocks, so they push it all up to level it out. At the very least, level the cradle out. So that's the end of week one here in Thailand. It's been a week, just over a week. We left Langkawi last Saturday morning. We got here, got quite a lot of stuff done in the first week. Obviously the trip over was wonderful and pleasant and uneventful, the way we sort of want a trip like that to be. I was so pleased that the had no issues with the motor moving along. We got hauled up onto the cradle, which sort of went off with very few hitches, which was great. And then got all the stuff, cleared the decks, got everything off in preparation for taking the masts and the rig down and getting us into the final position where we are now. There's a lot that goes into obviously planning when you're sort of going through a refit as such. Some of these things take an awfully long period of time, and they're done in sequence. So, for example, this week what we've also done is organised the paint, and that paint has taken the better part of about 2 months to sort out. And the reason why is because when you go and get paint colours from a company like Allcraft or Grip, Allcraft, you get these little swatches, and while they're effective at showing you the colours of the paint, you really need to be able to visualise, the paint as it's applied on a very large surface. So I'd found a boat last year in the Southampton Boat Show that I absolutely loved the way that it looked, how it set off with the timber, and everything on that boat. So that's involved a number of emails and telephone calls to Italy and France, and thankfully last week I was able to get those colour codes. So this week we've contacted the distributors up in Phuket. We've managed to get the correct colour code sorted out with the base paint, and we're having to order it. So even though we haven't touched the hull and painting won't occur for many months, we need to really think ahead about all of this sort of stuff. So lots of things going on in the background as well. So next week, again, a lot of activity happening. Early in the week, we're going to demast the boat. Hopefully the mast won't break. I give the main mast about a 50-50 chance of breaking. So we'll see how that goes. Then we're going to tent the boat as well. It's really important to tent the boat here. Workers just won't work on the boat if it's stuck in the middle of the sun. And then at the end of the week, we're going to put the boat under a vacuum so we can have it fumigated to kill out all of the termites, all of the bugs, everything that's in there. My carpenter starts first thing next week as well, so it'll be great to sort of go around and have a look at what work is going to be done, what he's going to start on. So lots of things happening quickly all the time. I'm just so happy to be here. It's really been great. It's been a long time planning to be here. I couldn't be happier. I'm feeling healthy. I've got a bit of colour in my skin. It's great to be warm. I'm drinking about 6 litres of water a day, just so I don't dehydrate. And just generally living and feeling much healthier and happier. And the people here are just spectacularly wonderful. I'm really happy to be here. So thanks for sticking around for this week, and we'll see you next week.
Coming up next week, we get the cranes in to take out the masts. And we wrap the boat to kill everything inside for once and for all.